The week of the speech. I'm Fred Hunt. That's Ted Coley. Hi, Ted Coley. How are you?
Hi, Fred. How long has it been?
We have not done a Beacon of Speech in 3 weeks at my house, and then before that, it was like a month and a half. We have not been in the palatial Ted Coley estate in almost 2 months. Ted Coley, how does it feel? How's your house doing? You doing good at the house?
Still standing.
I haven't shaved since then. I kind of shaved. I shaved my cheeks, but I still have the goatee. People keep calling me graybeard at work.
You look like you should be on the cough drop box.
Thanks. It is.
Which cough drops were those? The Luden brothers?
Yeah, I think they're the Luden. Yeah, I'm one of the Luden brothers. And it's ironic that you talk about it because my throat is parched. It is hot as hell today. You know why it's so hot? Global warming. Are you ready to be scared about global warming?
Mm-hmm.
I have to drink water because all the heat. I'm dying. I stink. So poor Ted has to sit by Stinky Fred. So before we talk about global warming, we always joke around that one day Ted's going to get mad at me and he's going to start his own webcast. And he's going to do the Beacon of Speech webcast. Or I will die, he'll take it over and he'll turn it in, Rush Limbaugh Jr. show or whatever and have some fun. Right? I know we wouldn't really do Rush Limbaugh Jr. show, but we always say, what would happen if we broke up, where we got in a big fight, and what is it, Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, where they didn't talk for 30 years. Mm-hmm. So, but ironically, I was on social media, and when is the last time that you saw Joe K on Beacon of Speech?
On Beacon of Speech?
On Beacon of Speech. Where in the world has Joe Kaufman been?
Oh, I thought you were literally asking me.
Yeah, where on Beacon of Speech? Where has he been? Have you seen him on Beacon of Speech?
No, it's been a very long time.
We got wind on social media that Joe Kaufman is starting his own YouTube channel. That bastard better not be breaking off from us. He better not be doing his own Beacon of Speech. Now, Joe Kaufman, part of the reason he doesn't do Beacon of Speech is he has a lot of kids. Would you say he takes a lot of time with his kids? I think he may be starting a YouTube channel with how cute his kids are, like cute things they do and silly things they do. Now, that's me speculating. But if that's true, I want to ask you a question. Will you be pissed if Joe Kaufman starts a YouTube channel and then on the YouTube channel, it's pictures of like his kids playing Rock'em Sock'em Robots, and then it gets like 1 million views? Mm-hmm. Will you be like, mm-hmm. I will not be upset because I love Joe. I love Joe K. Okay? But maybe a part of me will be tiny jealous, but not mad enough to do anything about it. But you are saying you will be jealous.
I will be very angry.
It'll be Beacon of Speech without me, and then Ted will be on the other webcast, on the other YouTube channel, and he'll be like, he'll be the one, you'll be doing cute things with the kids. The kids will run up and punch Ted in the balls.
Well, see what...
And he'll get 10 million views.
No, what we'll have to do then is we'll have to...
We'll have to advertise on their show.
Right. We'll be like the commercials interrupting his show.
Yeah. Watch Beacon of Speech on... That would... You don't understand how ironic
we'll have to
be.
Pay Joe, like...
We'll have to pay Joe. Oh, my Lord. I never even thought of it that way. Oh, now you're bumming me out. Because no offense to Joe, Joe, at the end of the day, Joe doesn't care about free speech, okay? He does a little bit, but I love Joe says what's on his mind. And I'll be like, hey, Joe, what do you think of this? And he'll be like, 1, 2, 3. And he doesn't really have a filter. Would you say that's fair? And Joe has told us things in our personal lives where we're like, oh my God, please don't tell us that, Joe. Right? Like plausible deniability. There's certain things about Joe I wish I did not know. Right? But him having his own YouTube channel, to me, I'm like, you know what? I think people are going to watch that. And, I saw a couple of weeks ago that they had a kid and he was like 5 years old. And all he did was test toys. And they had like 2 million views per video. And they're like, what do you think of this toy? And they'd hand it to the kid, and the kid would be like, this toy is stupid! And it'd get 10 million views, right? And you're like, how in the world? And the kid's 5, the parents are just burning through that money. They ain't saving it, right? So this kid's going to be, you know, the equivalent of Gary Coleman when he's 18. He's going to be like, where's my YouTube money, mommy and daddy? They'll be like, kid, that YouTube money's gone, right? So, but in my head, that's what Joe would do. Or he would do something like Rover's Morning Glory, you know, where he's doing crazy stunts and maybe he's got a couple of friends. Now, we don't do crazy stunts. I'm 50, Ted Coley's 52, is that correct?
I will be soon.
Yeah. So we could get more views if we did crazy stunts. Like, hey Ted, why don't you take this metal pen and put it in the light socket, right? And then you jam it in and we get 10 million views.
I think I almost did that earlier today.
Well, that's why I was thinking what you were. So we may have competition, and I'm telling you, Joe's business plan is probably better than our business plan.
Yeah, wouldn't it be funny if, like, the first day he does that, he gets, like, 1 million?
Yeah.
And we've been doing this for 4 years.
4 years, and we get, like, 3 views, and it's like, oh. Yeah, thanks for cheering me up, Ted. I'm sorry I even brought it up. So topic 2. Topic 2 is hot as hell in here. It's hot as hell. And I'm sweating, you're sweating. You got the air conditioner on low, right?
Yeah.
But, or do you feel any cold air?
Yeah.
Today is September 21st, right? It is 90 degrees in Ohio. When you were a kid, do you ever remember it being 90 degrees in September?
I don't think so.
No.
I honestly, when I was a kid, I don't think it was 90 degrees in July.
Oh, I remember it being 90 in July, but I remember by August it was over.
You remember the 70s. Remember
Oh, yeah.
There was like an ice
cold.
age coming?
Yep. In the 70s, Ice Age was coming. There were articles, Ice Age coming. By the year 1990, glaciers are going to be on the Canadian-American border. No, I'm being serious. It was true. They said next Ice Age, it was the winter of 77, 78, and then like 80. It was 3 out of 4 years in a row. It was the coldest winter ever. And now, in the last 10 years, it's been 8 of the 10 warmest years ever. Now, don't get me wrong. Something is happening. The question is it humans? Is it not humans? And the reason I bring it up is, do you remember in your 20s, they said there's an ozone hole. Mm-hmm. And we have to ban chlorofluorocarbons or
chlorofluorocarbons
yes.
or something.
And so no more hairspray, right? And then just this week, they said the ozone hole is smaller than it's been in 50 years.
Yeah.
And it's like, did banning hairspray close the hole? Well, I'm thinking, how do we have global warming if the ozone hole is closing? You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, like I said, I'm not a scientist. Something is going on, right? But is it...
So the ozone is supposed to block out all the dangerous rays from the
UV
sun?
rays, yeah. So if you lived in Antarctica and you laid out in the sun, you could get skin cancer faster. Yeah. Well, if you're in Antarctica, you're not wearing a bikini, so there was no spike in skin cancer because it happened where it didn't affect anybody. Yeah. You see where I'm going with that? Now, global warming is definitely happening in the last 10 years. It's the warmest 10 years in the last 200. That's a fact, okay? How old is the Earth? A billion years old?
I don't know.
So, do you remember when they said there used to be volcanoes on Antarctica? And there used to be ferns in Antarctica?
Antarctica?
Antarctica.
The south?
Yeah. Yeah. But that was 150,000 years ago, and 2 million years ago, and 8 million years ago. You see what I'm saying? So there's cycles out there. So they're saying it's the warmest it's ever been. Yeah, but is that
because didn't the poles, like, shift?
Yeah, I don't get started. Let's not get bogged down. You are right. But the point is...
Because...
Go ahead.
Wasn't, I'm trying to think. It didn't shift, like, from north to south. It kind of shifted, like, what was south became, like, west.
Right. The point is
See,
that the last...
You know, a little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing.
The last 10 years has been the warmest it's been in 250. That's a documented fact. Okay?
It's all documented.
But...
Remember that guy?
Yeah. But in the last billion years, it has been much, much hotter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so in human history... You don't know if it was this hot when Jesus was here. You know what I mean? Because they did not take climate records. And there's like, well, it was hot, because Jesus was wearing a robe and they crucified him, and the Romans said how hot it was. But hot is relative. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
How hot is hot? You know what I mean? And so they got people, frozen in glaciers. You remember when they find Vikings frozen in glaciers. So at one time there were humans and they got stuck in glaciers. Right? So the point is that global warming is happening, but is it our fault? Now, global warming people will say is 100% our fault, and this is what aggravated me today as you know what I am, Ted? What's my name?
Fred?
No! My name is Fred Hunt. Free speech activist.
Yeah.
Right? And you know why? From now on, I want you to call me.
You know what's funny? When you said, you know what I am,
Yeah.
you know how they do those tests, like what's the first thing that comes in your mind?
Yeah.
Just say it without thinking.
Yeah.
I was going to say old fart. I don't know why.
The word association.
Yeah.
So, from now on, I want you to call me Fred Hunt, free speech activist.
Fred Hunt, old fart.
No, not Fred Hunt, old fart, you bastard. Fred Hunt, free speech activist. Okay? And I work at a school district, right? And they have a doctor, and he's a principal, right? Well, you don't call him Mr. Smith, and his name's not Smith, but we're going to, keep his identity. He wants to be called Dr. Smith. And I'm like, if I got sick, I'm not coming to see you. Why do I have to call you Dr. Smith?
Isn't that...
Lost in Space. Yeah, Lost in Space.
Oh,
so warning rule. So anyhow, Dr. Smith wants to be addressed Dr. Smith. If you don't address Dr. Smith, if you say, hey, Mr. Smith, he's like, Dr. Smith! Okay? That's what I want to be called. I want to be called Fred Hunt, free speech activist. That is my title. Okay? From now on, okay, because this is what happened this week. A 16-year-old girl from Sweden went in front of Congress, and she is, let me make sure I write it down correctly, Greta Thunberg, climate activist, okay? And what she did is she held up a sign that said, do something about the climate, and she took off school. She skipped. And again, Ted, when you were 16...
So it's funny that you have a title that doesn't, really mean anything.
Yeah, it means
it's
nothing.
Like climate... in other words, somebody who bitches about the climate. It's
Yeah.
not even... She's not even, an expert on anything.
Yeah.
She's just somebody who's pissed off about the climate.
Yeah, and Rush Limbaugh used to say all the time, he's like, Barack Obama is a community organizer. Well, what do? Well, you organize a community.
Yeah.
But what does that entail? Well, I want the community to get along and don't shoot each other in Chicago. But what did you do to prevent shootings? Well, nothing, but I tried to unite the community. Yeah. So a climate activist is somebody who's worried that the earth is getting warm. Now, this is why I told Ted online, if she was a 16-year-old genius, and she's like, listen, what you do is you build a machine, and then what you do is you take the CO2 out of the air, and then you reorganize it. But here's a small-scale model of it. But if you built a giant model of it, like a factory, what it does is it kicks out, it cools the air. Kind of like an outdoor air conditioner. And over 20 years, it'll bring the temperature down, right? If she built a machine and she's like, I did a small scale, now all I need is a big scale model to make it bigger, I'd be like, she's a genius, I respect her, she built something and used her brain. But all she literally does is go in front of Congress and say, I think it's getting warmer. Well, yeah, I can do that. Right? I tried not to say the F word and she made me say it. Right? And Ted knows that sometimes I get really mad and I try not to swear. Right? But you're right. She doesn't have, what's your job title? Climate activist. I think it's hot. Well, guess what? I think it's hot too. I'm baking here. I'm literally sweating while we're doing Beacon of Speech. I know that's hot. When I was a kid, it didn't used to be 90 in September. Me and Ted were talking about this. I know it's hot. Well, what are we going to do about it? Well, the kids are upset. We'll come up with a solution. Why do you have scientists for? Okay? Yeah. Now, here is where I anger Ted Coley. I'm angry now. Okay? Because the kid is the same age as my daughter. If my daughter was testifying in front of Congress and she's like, I'm hot, I'm like, God, well, turn on the air conditioner! Right? What is our plan? What is a politician's plans? Right? Well, invent something that cools down the atmosphere.
It's all just another reason to raise taxes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that too. So anyhow, global warming. How do we stop global warming? Well, right now it's too late. It's already hot, right? You have to reverse it.
Didn't Al Gore say it's already too late?
It's already too late. He did say that, and that's why I said it. Al Gore says it's too late.
So we don't have to do anything then?
Yeah, screw it. Let's just make the whole planet. We live in Ohio, so if
you know why he's saying that? Because he doesn't care anymore because he's made his money.
He made his money.
No, forget it. We don't need.
Yeah, we're good. Number one culprit in global warming is coal, right? So if you turn off the electricity, right, and you stop burning coal, you stop putting the coal emissions into the air and stop global warming. Problem is, if you stop using coal, we don't have electricity, right? So, are you willing to give up your lifestyle to go Ted Kaczynski?
Aren't they using natural gas for electricity?
But that has emissions too. Natural gas has emissions, just like
but I thought it was cleaner. Cleaner burning.
It's cleaner building, but it's not green neutral.
Right.
Your carbon footprint...
It's cleaner than coal, but it's not clean.
Right. Your carbon footprint is still in a negative or whichever way it is. It's not carbon neutral.
Well, what the hell is carbon neutral?
Where everything that you do, okay, like when you poop, okay, no offense, but when you poop, you flush it down the toilet and you're wasting that poop, okay? Carbon neutral is that poop goes into the garden and then grows your tomatoes, and then you eat the tomatoes. You see what I'm saying?
Eating your own poop.
Yeah. Basically, you're carbon neutral. Okay. There are almost no greenhouses in America, and I don't mean greenhouses one word. I mean greenhouses two words. Greenhouses that are neutral. Everybody uses more energy than they save. You see what I'm getting at? So, in order to be green, you want to be carbon neutral. Okay. Now, here's where things get tricky. Well, you'd want to take away the coal and you want to take away the electric, right? So what you want to do is use wind power because you're carbon neutral. You want to use solar power, and then you can be carbon neutral. You see where I'm going? So all these things have to be done now, and that's the Green New Deal. You have to fix everything now. But that costs a crap load of money. And say you bankrupt America to do the Green New Deal, and then in 20 years it's cold again, and you're like, oh crap, it was just a regular cycle. You see what I'm getting at? And this is where Rush Limbaugh would jump in, and he'd be like, ladies and gentlemen, what the green people do not tell you is, do you know what the true number one emissions culprit is in America? Ted Coley, do you know? I'm not Fred Hunt, I'm Rush Limbaugh.
Emissions culprit? Trees.
Cows and pigs. Oh. So how do you become carbon neutral, Ted Coley?
How do I become carbon neutral? I don't know.
You eat the cows and you eat the pigs, and then you don't let them have babies, and then they don't fart into the air and raise the global temperature. So you become a vegetarian, I become a vegetarian, we all become vegetarians in America, and then it'll bring, so not only are you not using coal and electricity, you're not eating meat. You see what I'm getting at? Now, green people are like, well, you shouldn't be eating meat anyhow, right? Well, back to, they've been eating meat since the dawn of time. When you go back to the times of Jesus, right? You have to slaughter the pig in a kosher way to eat the pig. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. And if you don't do it, then it's not kosher and you can't eat it. And Muslims talk about not eating bacon because it's a dirty animal, right?
Yeah.
If you give a practicing Muslim a pig, that is insulting them, right? So what you do is you have to get rid of the animals, and then they don't fart, and then they don't drive up the emissions. So you not only have to change your lifestyle with your crappy house that uses all this carbon, you have to change your diet.
Mm-hmm.
Even though people have been eating cows and pigs for tens of thousands of years, okay? Back in the day, do you know what they were eating? Back in 50,000 BC? Chickens. Well, you got to kill the chickens too, because there's literally billions of chickens farting into the air. You see what I'm getting at? So not only do they want to change your carbon lifestyle, but your diet. And they said, well, you can just make plants that taste like meat. And at this point, you're like, how in the world? And they said, well, it's because people love meat so much that there used to be millions of cows. Now there's billions of cows and chickens. You see what I'm saying? Because people love meat. Well, you just want people to eat plants? Right? That's the big scam of global warming. They want to change all the lifestyles. And if, again, Rush Limbaugh, once we get rid of all the meat, who do you think are going to be the only people eating the meat? The rich people who are in charge. Fred Hunt and Ted Coley will be eating fern burgers, right? And he'll play hyperbole and stuff. But he's right. It's not just about global warming. It's about global lifestyle change. You need to be carbon neutral. Now, in theory, I think you could eat a duck or you could eat a rat. You see what I'm saying? You could eat a small animal like a squirrel and it would be okay. But what really causes it is the cow farts. Okay? And the more cows that we have and the more pigs that we have, the more methane and secondary gases are getting into the air. Now, you didn't know that's where we were going, did you?
No.
We have to get...
know where we're going.
We have to get... In order to get to carbon neutral, we have to get rid of the cows. Now, it's going to be fun eating the rest of the cows. They'll be like, well, we got to get rid of all these cows, so you get cheap cheeseburgers until the cows are gone. Right? And you're like, oh, great. Then when the cows are gone, they're like, no more cows. It's illegal to have cows. You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
And then you have a world where there's no cows. Well, in India, they're like, oh, you should never kill the cow anyhow. And it's like, oh, we don't live in goddamn India. You know what I mean? And so that's where I'm going with that. So Greta Thunberg or Thunberg.
Do they actually want to make cows extinct almost?
Not extinct, but controlled.
Yeah.
You know, just like we control populations on lots of animals, right? Cows, they take a lot of hay to eat, but instead of feeding them hay because, and this is the way I understand it, I could be wrong, if you grow hay and then you eat hay, and I'm being serious, I'm not teasing, if you grow hay and eat hay, you would have nourishment for a day, okay? But it takes 10 times as much hay to feed the cow, which you eat. So you're consuming more hay, even though you're not really eating hay.
Yeah.
You're eating the cow. So you're eating 10 times as much hay than if you just ate the plant. You see what I'm getting at?
Right.
So if we get rid of the cows, we would have more plants to
So
eat.
it's almost like you're not being efficient.
You are not being efficient. That's exactly right. And it all ties into global warming if you could get rid of the cows. And I'm not saying you would eat hay. Even vegetarians aren't saying that. But they're saying you wouldn't have to grow as much hay. You could grow other magical plants like asparagus. You see what I'm getting at?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's lots of plants to go around. You could eat asparagus and blah, blah, blah. But the other thing is that usually I'm drinking Coca-Cola. Today I'm drinking water because of my stomach. Right? But basically what is Coca-Cola? Describe Coca-Cola in one sentence.
It's sugar and water.
Sugar and water. That's all it is. Where do you get sugar from? From the plants. Well, you shouldn't drink sugar water. You should just drink regular water. It's like, you know what? At some point, you're like, this is absurd. Right? And you're like, you need somebody to invent the giant machine that cools down the air. Because you're not going to get rid of cows. You're just not. As soon as we get rid of cows, you know what's going to happen? China's going to be like, well, screw you. We're going to grow cows, and we're going to have 10 billion cows. We're going to have 10 cows for every human. And next thing you know, global warming's even worse. You see what I'm getting at? You need to attack the problem as how do we solve it, not how do we go back in time and change lifestyle. You see what I'm getting at?
Yep.
And so that's why this girl like bothers me so much. Because you could literally pick any girl at any high school in America. And you can find any girl who's like, you know what? I don't like that the planet's warming up. Oh, you're testifying in front of Congress. This girl basically won the climate activist lottery. Because she doesn't have, she speaks her mind. Well, guess who else speaks their mind? Me and Ted. You know? Can you imagine me and Ted sitting in front of Congress talking about cow farts? It's never going to happen. If we were ever in front of Congress, oh my God, I would literally have a panic attack while I'm up there. Because I don't have anything, they're like, Fred Hunt, free speech activist. I said that I was kidding! Don't really call me Fred Hunt, free speech activist. I'm not a megalomaniac. You can see, when you were watching that girl, you saw it didn't say Greta Thunberg, right? It said Miss Thunberg, right? Can you see Mr. Hunt, free speech activist on a little placard? It'd be like, you know how pompous I would have to be? It'd be like, and that's why you don't get anywhere in life. And I was at work, and I said, I'm convinced that people get places in life by cheating. Almost all the time. Let me bring something else up, because I don't want to go on for an hour about this. We're only going to go about an hour today, because I got to go and pick my wife up and stuff. For the first time in, I think, the modern era of football, two teams were 20... we're going to go to football. We'll go to football. Two teams were 20-point underdogs for the first time in the modern era.
This is NFL teams?
NFL teams. One of them was the Miami Dolphins. One of them was the New York Jets. Right?
Jets?
The New York Jets. They had a picture of Le'Veon Bell crying when they were losing to the Browns last week, right? Now, question one.
He was crying?
Yeah, he's sitting on the sidelines, and he's like, they showed him, like, he started to tear up, and he, like, grabbed the towel, and he's like, hiding, right? And you remember, he didn't want to play for the Steelers. He wanted $20 million, or $10 million, or whatever. He's like, I will never play for $4 million. I want 12. I don't think it was 20 million. I think it was 12 million. I will never play for $4 million. The Jets are terrible, and they're like, we'll give you 12 million. And then he's there, and he's like, you know what really sucks? Playing for the Jets, right? And I'm being honest, 20-point underdogs. You know who they were playing?
The Patriots.
Patriots.
Yeah.
The Patriots have been buzzsawing everybody.
Yeah, I think the Patriots, you can pretty much do that with any team.
And the Dolphins, they have been outscored, I think they said 106-10 so far this year.
Yeah.
Right? So the Dolphins were playing somebody who wasn't as good.
Just so everybody knows, Fred already told me this before. So he's rubbing it in.
Oh, no, I am. But there's a point to my story. The Dolphins, they traded away their two best players. You remember talking about that on Beacon of Speech. Then they traded away their best player remaining after the first game because they said that this is BS, and a bunch of guys went to their agents and said, get me the hell out of this sinking ship.
See, this might be the silver lining, though. Maybe I can actually play for the Dolphins.
You could be their kicker. So the point of my story is, you get to the NFL, right? And it is about money. Would you say that's fair?
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, the first week of the season, I'm starting to hear players say it's not about money. And to me, that is amazing. When Le'Veon Bell is crying in his towel, and he's like, there's got to be more to life than football. It's like, because you sat for a year and said it is about money. It is about money. I don't want to play for a winning team. Pay me. Goddamn pay me. Right? And the same thing with the Dolphins. They're professional athletes. To say, get me the hell out of Miami. That's stuff that goes on in baseball, that's stuff that goes on in the NBA all the time. Get me the hell out of here. That does not happen in football, right? Until now. Now they're like, there's got to be something more than money. You hear the NBA guys who are like, they're making $100 million, and they're like, we're not happy because we're not winning championships. Well, all 30 teams can't win championships, right?
Yeah.
We want to be on a super team. We want to win a championship. Well, then you got to give back some of your money. I want all the money I can get. Well, so does everybody else. That's why, there's salary caps. And they're like, well, I'm unhappy because we're losing. Well, you can take less money and go with a winning team.
I'm unhappy because I'm losing.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it was funny because I'll tell you a story off the air, but remind me about crying at work. Because there were people crying at work this week, and I'm like, I work with adults. You know what I mean? I understand if kids cry, because they're emotional and stuff, but adults crying, I'm like, oh, you can't cry at work. But anyhow, like Le'Veon Bell, right?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, because he put the towel over his head, and ESPN's not reporting it because, that's rubbing it in and making the guy look bad. But I follow a place called Fake Sports Center. And they said, here's the picture of him crying. Here's the video. His eyes are red. And he takes a towel and covers his face, right? And again, in theory, you don't know the whole story. He could have, dislocated a toe. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But he wasn't on the injury report. You know what I mean? So you give him the benefit of the doubt. You hate to call a guy out. But the guy literally said, pay me. He goes, I will not pay for under $10 million a year. And then they said, here's your $10 million. And then he's like, you know what really sucks? Playing for this team for $10 million or $12 million, whatever it is. And so it's amazing to me that even at the professional level that, we were talking about Gary on the way here. He's like, what I'd like is to make money, but I don't want to work weekends. But you see what I'm saying? It's literally from being a janitor in a crappy company all the way to the NFL. I want to get paid as much as I can, but I also don't want to work for a crappy company. And the crappy company in this case, and the reason I'm rubbing it into Ted, is because the crappy company is the Miami Dolphins. 5 years ago, you know who that crappy company was?
Browns.
The Cleveland Browns. And so I heard about it. I remember wearing stuff to work and wearing Brown stuff and people laughing at me. Like, don't you realize that they suck? And I'm like, yes, I realize that they suck. Right? But in your heart, do you think that the Dolphins will get better? Do you think that they have a plan?
I think eventually they'll get better.
Do you think that they are following the Browns' plan where they want to cut all their high-paid players, get way under the salary cap, then draft people like Myles Garrett and Baker Mayfield, number one, and then they have all this cap room and then all this young talent? Do you think that's the Dolphins' plan?
Probably.
So the Browns.
Do you think that?
Oh, I think so. But it goes back to those are real lives. I played on soccer teams where we go 0-8. 0-9-1. Those games were no fun, but I love soccer. But I knew people who quit because they're like, I don't want to play on crappy teams. You're not getting paid. You see what I'm getting at? So when you're getting paid, there's still a certain amount of professionalism where you're getting paid. You have some sort of honor, right? Well, people are saying that the Dolphins are rolling over and dying, right? Because they don't want to be there. Well, at the end of the day, that's your job. You know what I mean? I wouldn't go into my job and be like, you know what, this place sucks. No,
I'm sure that the players are playing as hard as they can.
But they just got crappy players.
Right. What I'm saying is when you say they're rolling over, it might be the front office that is, but it's not the players. I mean, I'm sure that they're, and even when the Browns were terrible, I'm sure those guys were trying. But
well, some of them were trying. And some of them went in the office and said, get me the hell off the Browns.
I mean, because I find it hard to believe that somebody could make it go through all you have to go through to get to the NFL and then just give up for
Yeah.
whatever reason. Because
Oh yeah.
I just can't see that happen.
Oh, I agree. I'm saying that I don't ever remember teams tanking like it seems like the Dolphins are doing. And it was obvious when the Browns went 0-16 that they traded away their best players. They were trading away, hey, high price, you're out, high price, you're out, you're cut. You're Do you remember when they were $50 million under the cap? And you're like, what are they waiting for? And they're like, well, we have a plan. Well, what's your plan? What's a secret? We have a guy who is the Moneyball guy from the Oakland A's, right? And he's like, well, what's your plan? He's like, none of your business.
Is he still there?
He's still there because he talks about managing the cap. You don't want to burn through your cap because you have all this cap room, and then you sign your players that you want to build around, like Myles Garrett and did I say Miles Davis before the trumpeter?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. And then Baker Mayfield. So I'm sorry.
So it's Miles Davis and Curtis Mayfield.
Yeah.
Wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I think they might have done an album together. But to me, it's amazing that you would tank because in the NFL, you don't have a lot of games and you don't have a lot of time. You know, guys' average career is 4 years, and you're like, we're going to suck for the next 2 years. You're like, that's half my career. Get me the F off this team, right? Because when they're good, you might be done. And again,
that just, and I've said this before, that just shows you how unbelievable the Patriots are.
Oh yeah,
to be good for what's it going on 20 years now?
20 years, because
it's like what other team has done that in the last 20 years?
Yeah,
nobody.
No, and that's why it's so amazing.
You know, and it's like a lot of years, most years they have low round draft picks because their record. It's like, how do they do it?
Because I'm telling you, for a long time, for about 10 years with the new Browns, as soon as you named a GM and a coach, the coach wanted to be the GM wanted to be the president. They didn't care if they won or not. They were getting paid. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so the Patriots keep saying it's all about football. It's all about football. It's all about football games. Bill Belichick knows he's going to be there till he dies. As long as he keeps winning, he's going to be there. Tom Brady knows he's going to be there till he's not winning. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so all these teams have all this turmoil, and they're like, the reason we lose is because I'm not the GM and the coach. You see what I'm getting at? And all the Patriots do is like say, listen, this is our quarterback. We're going to win with him. And this is our coach, and everything is built around him. I mean, they literally keep it simple. And the Steelers keep winning year in, year out. You know, they got the same quarterback, the same coach, you know, same basic principle. We're not going to have power struggles here. If you want to come here and not worry about football, then we're going to get rid of you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the Dolphins is amazing, because you can see it's not about winning football games. They're not like, how can we win football games this year? That's not their goal. Their goal is to win football games in the year 2021. And I keep talking about the Raiders. Everybody keeps saying, what are the Raiders doing? In the year 2020, the Raiders moved to Las Vegas in a brand new $1 billion stadium, right? They could give two craps about winning in Oakland. They do not care about winning in Oakland. And people know that, right? They want to win in Las Vegas. But to me, again, I'm sorry to beat a dead horse, but somebody who bets for a living had to try and bet on the Dolphins and the Jets and say, are these guys going to show up and at least give it the college try?
So those are the two worst teams?
Two worst teams. Well, they said Jets might not be the bottom. They said Dolphins are for sure the worst team. But the Jets, because they're playing New England, you know, there might be one or two teams that are worse than the Jets. But the Jets have a meat grinder schedule. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with Baltimore. Baltimore lost today to Kansas City. But the first 2 weeks, they played the Arizona Cardinals and the Miami Dolphins. So Baltimore got to beat up on the Little Sisters of the Poor. Miami of Ohio played Ohio State yesterday, right?
They did?
Yeah. Miami of Ohio, they kicked the ball and the Buckeyes were in their own end zone, right? And they sacked them for a safety, right? So Miami of Ohio was winning 2-0. After the safety, they kicked it. They got the ball back, right? Because on the safety, you get the ball back, right? And they went down, kicked the field goal. They were winning 5-0, 4 minutes into the game, right? 5-0, 4 minutes into the game against Ohio State. What was the final score? They were up 5-0.
No, I did not see this, so this is a total guess. I'll say it was 56-5.
76-5.
Well, 76-5.
They scored 11 straight touchdowns after giving up 5 points. And it would have been 77, but they let the backup kicker come out and kick the extra point and they missed it.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
What's the most amount of points one team has ever scored in college football?
Well, I remember reading this. There was a coach, and it was like Cumberland College in Maryland or in West Virginia, and they played another team in West Virginia or Maryland, and the coach had been fired from the other team, and a bunch of the players quit because the coach was fired, and so that team, and again, this would be like the 1930s, won 212-0 in football, right? And they were literally running down the field, and they wouldn't take out they're just beating the crap out of them, right? And it was Cumberland College. I don't even know if Cumberland College exists anymore. But in the modern era, within the last, 50 years in Division I, I think it's like 84 or 88.
Wow.
So
they were
0.
close.
Oh, yeah. Well, 212 versus 88 is still a big difference, but...
No, I mean, Ohio State was close to.
Oh, yeah.
Because they had 200. I almost can't even believe that's true.
Right. Well, don't forget, different time, different place. We'll look it up. We'll look it up when we're done. But so we don't grind the show to a halt. They were close, 76-5. That's a big score. So, but it's not. I know you hate talking about soccer, but yesterday, okay, Manchester City, okay, they beat. Who did they beat? Manchester City beat somebody in the Premier League, which is the best league in the whole world, in England, right? The score was 8-0. And they said the biggest score in the history of Premier League was 9-0. And they said that it was revolutionary and the poor team got hammered and it almost wasn't fair, but, both teams were getting paid. And when you're a kid and you get skunked like that, it stinks. But at the end of the day, they were like, you have to have respect and not give up 8 goals in Premier League soccer. You see what I'm getting at? So whether it's soccer, whether it's football, whether it's baseball, I remember the Indians won a game. It was like 23-5 or something. And they said it was one of the biggest Indians victories of all time. But so that's why, when you get to these scores now in the year 2019, you just really wonder what the underlying story is. Because if you have a salary cap or you're all in the same English Premier League, you would think that everybody's getting close to the same pay. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So even in the NFL, and say Miami wants to be $50 million under the cap, you're still paying your players $60 million, and that other team is paying their players $110 million. You see what I'm getting at? Yeah. It's not one team is getting paid $110 million, and the other team is getting paid nothing. Okay? I don't want to forget about this. We're going to go super fast. Area 51 was a big dud, right?
Well, wasn't it on the internet that people were going to,
Yeah, 2 million people were going to show up and 1,500 showed up. So then basically Area 51 was like Beacon of Speech. No one showed up. Ted, I want to talk about this real quick before we go. You have a Hit Parader magazine. Go grab that magazine because I want to talk about that. In 1985, would you say Circus? I said Hit Parader, but it's Circus magazine. Would you say this was one of the most popular rock magazines out? Was Circus in 1985?
I guess.
Now, in 1985, my favorite band was probably Anthrax. Okay, if you look, there is no Anthrax on the front. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In 1985, who is your favorite band?
The Who.
The Who. The Who is not on the front of this band either. Now, here's the catch. If you look, right here, Armored Saint is on the cover. Armored Saint broke up, and then Anthrax stole their singer. Anthrax stole their singer. They're a Christian rock band. So, this is what we're going to do. We're going to look at here, and this is amazing to me because hot bodies need hot cassettes, okay? Do you remember cassettes, Ted Coley?
Yes, I still have.
You still have cassettes. My parents still have cassettes. 30 years ago, that was the biggest thing. And if you handed a kid who's 15 years old a cassette today, they wouldn't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
They'd be like, what the hell is this? And you'd be like, oh, no, what you do is you take the pencil and you roll it up when it comes unraveled and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is what we're going to do. We're gonna go through some of this. And I want to look at some of the ads, but some of the bands, okay? Now, here's an ad for the band Autograph, okay? Ted, if you saw this ad, would you have went out and bought the Autograph album?
No.
No, because Autograph was terrible. They had one hit, and that hit was terrible. And
What was it? What was it?
It wasn't Autograph Turn Up the Radio. Oh, right here. Autograph's first album includes the hits Turn Up the Radio.
Okay.
Right? Send Her to Me and My Girlfriend's Boyfriend Isn't Me. I have never heard of any of those songs except for Turn Up the Radio. Okay? Autograph was terrible. So they tried to trick you into buying Autograph. Okay? And then here's more ads for Memorex, different cassette tapes. Okay? Oh, Join the Force. I don't even know what this is. Oh, do you remember this? Is this the Columbia Record House? You get 11 tapes for $1. Mm-hmm. But these aren't tapes. These are...
CDs?
No, they're not CDs. What was before tapes?
Oh, vinyl?
No, I think they are...
8-track?
I think they're 8-tracks. Is that a tape or is that an 8-track? 11 Christmas presents for 1 cent.
Nah, I don't think they would be. I think by 85, 8-tracks were.
They had to be cassettes. Now, we're going to look at all these. Okay, you ready? 1985. In 1985, I hated music. I thought it was terrible. Just like I think music's terrible. Because crap usually rides to the top. So, these were the top most popular albums. You tell me in 1985 if you owned any of these. Okay, you ready? Bryan Adams. Summer of '69.
I did not own that, but I think my sister had.
Night Ranger.
You know what? I think I actually had that, but I didn't get it in '85. It was later on.
I got Night Ranger's greatest hits in '89, so that's my bad.
I got it like in probably 2000.
Billy Joel. Billy Joel. Do you own anything by Billy Joel?
Yes, I do.
Oh, that's so.
Is that Greatest Hits?
Greatest Hits
Yes,
Volumes 1 and 2.
And I actually bought it in '85, so that's a yes.
Scorpions.
No.
I like the Scorpions. I would have if I had the money, I would have bought that. Prince and the Revolution.
Once again, I did not have it, but I think my sister did.
I had Prince and the Revolution. I had 1999. What year did that come out? That would have been 84.
82, maybe?
So I did not have Around the World in a Day, but I did have Prince music. Sting! Did you have Sting solo albums?
No.
Sting solo albums are terrible. Bruce Springsteen, Born in the USA.
Yes. Once again, this is an album that I got like probably in the 90s.
I did not own that. I'm not a big Bruce Springsteen guy. Motley Crue, Theater of Pain.
No.
My sister owned it, so I listened to it. Corey Hart, Sunglasses at Night.
No.
I watched a video. I did not own anything. Dire Straits.
Was that Brothers in Arms?
Brothers in Arms.
No.
I did not have that either. Phil Collins.
No.
Heart.
Heart? Well, now wait a minute. Which one is it?
I just skipped to the next page. Heart. It doesn't say which one.
I do have. Once again, this is something that I got like maybe a few years after it came out.
Right.
But yeah, I think I do have that one.
The point of my story is these are the most popular albums of 1985. And they were mostly all terrible. And the bands that I listen to and I go back and listen to in 85 are not those. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So they were selling you bad music. Oh, here's another one. Like a Virgin by Madonna.
No.
Yeah, I didn't have one of that either. So again, in my head, you always had to find good music. Anthrax was not on the radio. There was no ad for Anthrax on here. You see what I'm saying? I also liked Weird Al Yankovic, comedy music. There's no Weird Al on here. You know what I mean? It seems like you always had to find good music.
Weird Al was not writing the top of the charts.
No, he was not. No. And then they're like best-selling albums, Dire Straits, Tears for Fears. I didn't own any. I'm looking to see what I owned. So I go all the way down the top of the charts, blah, 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 blah. Okay, number 12, Theater of Pain. And because my sister owned it and I listened to it. But I bought the one after Theater of Pain or before. Which one was Shout at the Devil? How about this? Did you ever see the comedy Once Bitten? Vampire comedy.
No.
Ted, you were not popular in high school, were you?
Now wait a minute. Who was in that?
It doesn't say, but I know the guy if I saw him. So I'm looking at this, and you wonder why this doesn't exist anymore. It's because it's bands that people weren't buying. I mean, Bruce Springsteen people bought, but they're not listening to it today. Do you talk to anybody who like listens to Dire Straits actively today?
No.
No.
But I generally don't talk to anybody.
Oh, you talk to lots of people. Yngwie Malmsteen. Do you want to buy his new album?
No.
I'm sorry. This is just making me laugh. Call for Sam Ash. Are you looking to buy musical or sound equipment?
No, not anymore.
Hot Videos. USA for Africa. I thought that was garbage. David Lee Roth is in here. Do you own any Van Halen albums?
Yes, I do.
So see, so
And I actually own a David Lee Roth album.
you could have been
Eat 'em and Smile.
See, there you go. My buddy had that.
Remember Yankee Bros? Remember that song?
Leslie West playing is so powerful and direct. You should buy his guitar line. DiMarzio Guitars. Are you familiar with that?
No.
Me neither. Power Slam, movies. Sunglasses. There's a lot of ads in here for guitars. Did they really sell that many guitars? When you bought your guitar, was it based off of what was in Circus magazine?
No. No.
Song lyrics. Oh, Huey Lewis and the News. Yeah, I know. Bruce Springsteen, he doesn't really count. He's real. Oh, Ted.
There you go.
Ted, Centerfold. Why didn't you take this out and hang this on your wall? It's a Scorpions. You remember taking magazine centerfolds out and hanging them on your wall? I had buddies who did that. I did not do
Wouldn't it
that.
be funny if I was doing that now?
We could do that now. You want to take it off? We can hang it up next to the Beatles. Look, the guys from... Look at what handsome young man... Bon Jovi. Bon Jovi. We could rip this out and put this on our walls. To me, they're really ugly dudes. I don't know how people thought they were sexy back in the day. Like, I'm looking at them, I'm like... All I'm thinking is that they look really greasy.
Yeah.
And I think I am doing a stereotype right
Yeah.
now. I probably shouldn't say that. Am I going to get in trouble for that? Saying that Bon Jovi looks greasy?
Well, if a tree falls in the forest.
Oh, here we go. Nobody here. Here we go. Docking from poverty to a pot of gold. Guess what? They're back in poverty.
From poverty to pot.
Well, from poverty to poverty. Yeah. Docking poverty to gold, back to poverty. That's funny. Rock is hot. This is all Iron Maiden, AC/DC. Blah, blah, blah. Motley Crue, I like them.
It's 96, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's Tommy Lee. That's
and
Nikki
that's
Sixx.
probably when he was on like heroin.
Oh yeah, he was whacked out on heroin. But look, Motley Crue. In my head, if you were a woman, that's the band you're going after, not Bon Jovi. They're kind of. I think that's what the girls are going for is Motley Crue, and my understanding is that is accurate in hindsight, right? And Ted, could you imagine this ad today? I'm sorry, if you play this guitar, you're getting this girl, right? I don't think you can put those in music magazines anymore. You get the guitar, you get the girl.
Yeah.
I think that would be banned. I think that would be sexist and. Oh, Ted, now I'm really going to give you the business. When your band, Wasted Space, played, what did you wear?
What did I wear?
What'd you wear?
Most of the time I wore jeans and my Miami Dolphins jersey. Did
you wear hot rock clothing and accessories, bandanas and belts?
No. No.
Could you imagine a music magazine today selling hot rock clothing accessories with bandanas? Here's Rat, they're terrible.
Oh, that's who that is? That's Rat?
Yeah. Okay, here's t-shirts and jerseys. Now here's what I would have bought. Here's Metallica right here. Buy Slayer t-shirts, Metallica t-shirts. They don't have any of these bands in here, but they say get these t-shirts because these bands weren't getting airplay. You see what I'm saying? So even back in the day, you could buy a Metallica t-shirt. Now, all these t-shirts are worthless and you can go to Walmart and buy the Metallica t-shirt. Like all these people, if today, 30 years later, can you buy a Bon Jovi t-shirt at Walmart? I don't think you can. Rat, no. Scorpions, no. Dokken, no. Kiss, no. Keel, I don't even know who Keel is.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that.
But you can go and buy the Metallica Metal Up Your Ass t-shirt. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you don't know what's going to be popular 30 years.
Did I tell you my one friend, after we went to the Van Halen concert, he bought a Van Halen t-shirt that said Van Halen kicks ass, and he wore it to church.
I'm sorry, that's funny. But so we get to the back, and the bands are all terrible. Like I said, I never liked Bon Jovi. So, like, I'm looking at this, and to me, the only real bands are, like, Bruce Springsteen and AC/DC. Even though I didn't like them. I like Motley Crue, but Motley Crue was on the downside. You see what I'm saying? But it's just amazing to me. Oh, here's drummer. Here's helpful hints if you want to be a drummer. How to do bridges and stuff. But again, I'm an old guy, so in my head, I think back to high school. I look at this and I'm like, no kid today would buy this. Like they would put this down and they'd be like, this is terrible, right? Oh my God! Here's John Parr. I played my kids a John Parr single, and they thought that I was trying to murder them.
Which one was it?
I think it was Naughty Naughty by John Parr. And so when you say timeless music from the 80s, 90% of that is not timeless music from the 80s.
Did you like the song St. Elmo's Fire?
No, I did not. Ted, I did not like what was popular like ever in my life. Like